What is a podcast? A miserable little pile of Reddit posts. Hey neurons, welcome to the Typeline, foremost podcast on neurotyping and surely among the top 10 of podcasts in general. As we dredge through the never-ending deluge of bullshit and theorycraft, we will hopefully unearth some arcane knowledge about the very essence of personhood. Any additional information you could possibly want is in the show notes, as always. With me I have a fine band of renegades and miscreants who shall introduce themselves now.
Hi there, I'm fast-talking craftsman and indestructible supergod Tarbok Transom, your level 3 overseer, the firebrand with inner peace and clout chaser eternal.
I am Urcoy, or am a new type or something, and I don't have a shirt on.
That's a mood.
Good to know.
Yep. So, he is the fourth host. He is Toji. He's the human calculator this time. I'm glad to have you again on here because we have some very cool stuff again, and also a complete change, so to say, neurotyping.
How is it that in episode 11 I realized that I'm pronouncing your name wrong?
Toji?
Yes,
Different?
I've been saying Tolgi every time.
Oh, that's no problem at all. It's in German you would say it a bit more like G, but in English it's a bit more G. So that's why I say it, but either way is fine. So you're not wrong.
Well, I just wanted to say it the way you say it, you know?
And we also have the Grand Emperor, the despot of neurotyping.
It's me, Skroy. I'm a new type.
Yes.
Nobody believes.
Yeah, and he's the owner of the now Neurocord. That's the most important part, even.
I own the majority of shares in Neurotyping.
Yeah, right. The important bit about Skroy is that he's the admin on the Reddit and current owner of Neurocord.
Current owner of current Neurocord.
Yeah, of Neurocord, N-E-W.
Neurocord.
Yes.
You're next.
I think they changed that name at some point, despite it being very funny. Shame. For shame. Oh well. We can just start with your post. Chaos Theory by Skroy. Do you want to explain it, or should we go over it together?
You go.
Alright, so we have a little diamond of the chart laid out on the bookkeeper corner at the bottom, new type on top, with the word order at the very bottom and chaos at the top. And so on the left, it is artificial, starting with human calculator. And as you go to the right, towards pure instinct, you get natural. So we have a different set of axes, a natural artificial axis and a order chaos axis, where according to the description, laterality is about reorganizing data, and impressionism is about how complex the data you take in even is, with high complexity on the impressionism side. So U-type is reorganized complex data, bookkeepers unreorganized simplified data, and so on. That's pretty much chaos theory.
Yeah.
Well, there's another point that gets made further down in that post about your interaction with natural, and it starts out at pure instinct all the way on the right being the most natural, just like with flow theory. This is the influx, and then it forks. So we got new type at reprocessed natural, and bookkeeper at encoded natural, and human calculator at encoded and reorganized natural. Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least that's the way that I'm reading it.
Yeah, it works with that information flow pretty well still. I mean, it's literally the same chart, but...
Yeah, like it also fits with Timecake's old post about pure instinct being at the very start of the culture circle.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it just looks better when it's like on the right side and not in the bottom right corner.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Diamonds are cool, is what I'm saying.
Diamonds are cool. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, but also...
Right, and which girl would want a best friend that isn't cool? None.
Also, and importantly, diamonds are a woman's armor. Have you ever heard that expression?
No, maybe.
No.
Okay.
I've heard it from you on a podcast.
Yes, I've heard it like 3 times in my life, but from different sources, all from like cartoons from the 90s and older. And like it has a different level of like gearing up, gird your loins for battle, but the battle of the social type feel to it. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. If you want to hear me like it more and in more words for like half an hour, link in the description to my podcast.
What a way to say it, advertise.
Well, I have more to say, but it's not about neurotyping, so I'm getting back to the point and saying that initially this chart kind of hit me wrong, but then I stewed on it a little more, and especially just reading the first sentence in Skroy's description here, the edit of, guys, I just wanted you to look at the chart diagonally, and I know what you think. I presented it with what I'm trying to look at and put it into terms that make most sense to describe it. That's it. And like, it just invited me to think more about things in terms of diamonds instead of squares. And man, that's way better.
I don't know if it's better, but yeah, I like it. This is a good visualization. And yeah, it just rings differently if you consider the diagonals as axes sort of in themselves. That's cool. I also like the terms, like artificial, natural, order, chaos. I'm more iffy on some bits in the description, like the implication of linearity as just take it as it is not reorganized. Kind of rubs me wrong. That seems like, again, pretty condescending towards linear people. But
well, if it's one thing that we're all good at here, it's being condescending to linear people.
I see myself as a stalwart defender of the lens. They need it. They can't defend themselves.
That's even worse.
You're the last line of defense.
Said condescending to the lens.
I like... I had confusion for a while, like between whether I'd be bordering on fascinator and aesthetician, and this sort of like explains it, like the similarity between them. Mm-hmm. They have the same level of chaos to them.
Yeah. All you have to do is adjust your perspective by 45 degrees.
Just tilt your head, man.
Skroy, do you want to talk a little bit about like what drove you to make the chart this way?
I don't really remember, but well, the most important part is I don't agree with it anymore.
Oh man.
Well, not completely.
That's really funny because I have a lot of material written in my notes about how I do agree with it.
Well, I used to see a lot of similarities between on the diagonals. Now I look at it and I don't. So I came up with the order chaos thing, and artificial natural was suggested by somebody else. And I kind of, yeah, that sounds good, I guess. But that was my old understanding of neurotyping, because, well, you know, lexical is encoding, like in lexemes. Mm-hmm. Laterality is just complexity, like having more data to think about. So basically, the more you move from the order to chaos, the wider the range of connections you can make.
Yeah, I get what you're getting at there. And you don't feel like that anymore?
No, this part I do feel.
Okay.
But like I don't like artificial natural anymore. I don't see any similarities between the diagonals that hard. Because, well, I used to just have vague impressions of the types, and they kind of seemed similar, but now they're more precise, and that's where it breaks down.
Okay.
And so the idea. Another idea that the communication between people of the similar chaos levels, well, it's kind of easier to understand each other. But the higher you move, the higher also higher the chance that you will misunderstand each other, because like the more turns you can make on your road to conclusion, the higher the chance that you go different ways.
Okay.
Yeah, there are instances where like me and other new types or other people in that area just sort of like it seems like we're kind of talking past each other at times.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's like you say something and they're like, yeah, I understand you. But then they explain it back to you and it's something completely different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was my entire experience with the Words About Words talk. People were like, oh, yeah, it's this. Well, it's not what I meant, but sure, go for that if you like that more.
That's not what I meant, but it sounds good, so I will take credit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy if people take some interesting idea from it. Doesn't matter if it's mine.
Yeah, more
Actually,
things.
that's even better because then I can claim I had thought of all of that. Then I seem even more cleverer, and I quite like that.
There's a certain amount of like, I don't know, just knowing the process of somebody else, like how they're thinking, like even if you misunderstand, it's like easier. Like you just know that how you misunderstand, I guess.
It's more like a familiar smell of misunderstanding.
Yeah. It's meta communication. You know, not what is being communicated, but in what communicative framework you are.
Yeah.
Out of misunderstanding.
Yeah, like when Tarvik and Ouro are saying stuff that I don't get, like I still get how they're doing it or the general line that they're following.
Yeah. Brothers in Chaos. Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about the natural artificial axis for a bit.
Real quick before we move on to a different aspect of it, like I had not at all considered like the plateaus of it, I guess, at least not to that extent. Like contemplated and level-headed being on the same level, and then analyst, overseer, impressionist being on the same level, and like that. Like I guess there's a way in which I totally did, but I rapidly turned into trying to fit other dichotomies onto the diagonals.
Right. Yeah.
And so like the idea of the interrelationship between like human calculator and quick-witted and externalist and pure instinct, like all at one level in like it very much is like the revelation of turning your head 45 degrees. Like you know that thing where in a sitcom on daytime television, somebody is looking at sex happening and they turn their head 45 degrees and then they suddenly react like they understand what's happening. Yeah. That's the experience I'm having.
It also, it kind of warps your perception of distances, at least for me, between types. Because for a while I was with my little outpost secondary type somewhere in analyst. That's all the way over the chart. But when I look on this, that's pretty close. Those are right next to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense in my head. And the distance hasn't changed. It just looks like it.
Right.
You know, what's funny about the human calculator to pure instinct line? I think other people have pointed this out too, but it's like the humor line. That's where all the jokes get made, or all the.
Yeah, people seem to love my jokes.
These are the funny the people who are good at humor. TM, you know.
Yeah, I like that. That's a pretty cool way to go about it.
I mean, it's right on between. Like the forward and backward flow that you have.
Yeah, quick-witteds and externalists are sort of the token social butterflies anyways.
Oh yeah, and pure instinct being
makes sense,
other
like be funny.
funny
But
type.
then pure instinct is, well, it's funny by default. It's called pure instinct. What do you want here?
Yeah. We cut you off as you were starting to say something. What was that? Tolgi?
Oh, me? No, I was just joking around with human calculators are of course the best joke makers. Even better than quick-witted and pure instinct. That was my joke. Yeah. No,
I'm not sure if I can even disagree.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta calculate all those mirth variables, slot in a good giggle or two,
Yeah.
perhaps a chuckle even.
Something about the diagonality of the diagonality, yeah, I'm going with it, of the chart really highlights to me my position as one of the center types, and that really kind of makes me uncomfortable. like I don't want to be a centrist about anything. I must always be the most extreme, hence the firebrand with inner peace.
Oh, that's why you're an overseer.
Yes.
Right, but I mean, remember, the actual center population-wise is down towards linearity a bit. Well, I still think that. I don't know what your opinion is nowadays.
All right. My new shape of the curve is 3d6 drop or roll 4d6 and drop the highest. That's my shape of the curve.
What?
It's a bell curve, but it's leaning towards linear.
Right.
It's like
Wait.
putting most of your weight onto one foot.
Hold on. Is it an egg shape?
Like half an egg, half egg shape.
Not really.
No, it's an egg shape that the center of the egg is like the understanding externalist.
Oh my.
Which leans down toward clear-sighted and
Yes.
level-headed.
Yes. I agree with that. It is an egg.
Yep.
The chat's an egg, guys. We
Again.
did it.
We found the egg that Time Cake was trying to show us.
There's so much juice. There's so many succulent liquids in that egg. Beatrice, this distribution. There's so much good goop in there to slurp down.
Do you want to move on to the axis you want
Yeah.
to talk about?
Let's get to the axis part now. I think we've milked this.
Right.
I think we've milked this egg for about as far as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about natural artificial a lot. And it's like the terms communicate the right thing to me. But when I'm thinking about it, they themselves don't make sense because even human calculators, all that, but still interacting with the natural world, right? It's all very natural. What I've figured out, what I think is meant with artificial, or at least what artificial communicates to me, is kind of coherence or contrast. You have like sharp edges and things slot together nicely, whereas on the natural side you have more of a blur, things not quite interlocking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what fits to this whole complex network that human calculators and such are often imagined to have, as opposed to the free-flowing, sometimes contradictory, doesn't matter, take as it goes, of the pure instinct.
Well, I still think that the natural side is interlocking, but where the artificial
sure.
side is interlocking with Legos, the natural side is interlocking like genitals.
Oh, also that, yeah. I would have gone with vines, but yeah, genitals. Vines and roots and other such shrubbery.
I like mine.
Well, I see the natural axis as kind of like you take the information from the world kind of close to as it is in the world, and the artificial is more like you reinterpret it and put it nicely in some specific terms.
It's amount of human fuckery.
You're like
exactly
reconstructing the world from the ground up so that it interlocks
in your head.
Yeah, I think you made a chart that spoke a wildly different truth to me, like the Codex of Infinite Wisdom from the Ultima series, where the Avatar goes and gets this holy book and reads it and gets some virtues out of it and this whole complicated moral system, and then the gargoyles that he stole it from also like the book because it's theirs and have an entirely different moral system that is exactly as complicated, taken from the same text. I think that's you and me. I got a totally different system out of it, and I like mine better, you gargoyle.
I'm a new type.
Good. He's not a cat.
Damn.
Like I spent a lot of I started with the order chaos dichotomy, and then it occurred to me that while I do agree with that, I also found other related dichotomies in both axes that map neatly onto this chaos order thing and the artificial natural thing. The order quadrant is in the order section on this chart, and on the other side you have the abstract quadrant. So what's the opposite of abstract? Concrete or discrete or tangible or some other lexical word that means present and in front of you and stuff, and not abstract. And then that got me thinking about many other dichotomies that this chart has revealed to me. On the new type side, you have the unknown versus the bookkeeper's known, or the surreal and the real, or in the way that is also heaven and earth, the dreamlands kind of space. Plain in the bookkeeper side versus baroque in the not bookkeeper new type. That's the word I was looking for. The values of the boomers and the zoomers is another great one.
No.
Boomers don't have value.
Oh no. Not in this podcast.
This is disavow part 2.
No.
I stand by that. I don't disavow.
I 100% stand by this analysis of mine, and you also get this sort of the gist in terms of enlightenment versus romanticism, where on the one side you have bureaucracy and factories with production lines and drudgery and that kind of thing. I'm just painting the order quadrant in the best possible light. Fuck you, understanding people.
Wow.
But think of a continuum between the those kind of spaces where it winds up mechanized for good and ill. The crystal spires and togas are on that side, but also the crushing people in machinery and there's people in my hamburger space versus the romanticism section on the complete opposite side of all about the feelings and personalness. I'm not that into the romanticism literature because ironically they went way away from fantasy and way more towards hard realism, which is not my thing. In terms of actual literature.
Right.
And that's why Gothic is the best. Wait, hold on. That was the goth section.
Romantic had a lot of poems and drawings right in the text, and that's cool. It's a nice blending of mediums.
Oh yeah, I do the blending of mediums.
That's not the topic.
But hold on. When you add the fantasy back to the romanticism, they called that the Gothic period. And on the Joths and Catagargoyles episode, the diagonals were Jock Goth for the new type, and it all lines up. This is the same thing. You have rediscovered the same thing.
Oh, no.
That's how independent discovery and long range order is exactly how you understand that there's real truth here. Is that these different vibes in different spaces, we've settled on different ways of looking at the same thing, man. This stokes my hippie heart.
Yeah. Confirmation bias lies at the heart of discovery.
Yes, confirmation bias lies at the heart of discovery. That's an episode title. It's a little long, but I like it.
Democracy.
Science. in action.
And it took me a long time to find some horizontal other dichotomies to lay over top of this chart, but I got some eventually, like urban on the left and rural on the right.
What?
Okay, so a human calculator way of thinking is unlikely or is less likely to be rewarded in a rural context and more likely to be rewarded in an urban context. At least here, at least that's the way that it is here. So like people that you would expect to, like a space that has lots of pure instinct people who love pure instinct people, such as Donald Trump, are likely to hate people who are human calculators.
I'm going to say that Rome next time I see him in BC.
Beat him up.
Navigating cities successfully requires laterality because cities are lateral. Cities are just overly complex mega networks that cannot be understood by people.
Yeah. Let's see. And spiraling off of that, what is the old mythology version of the urban-rural divide? That is the Aesir versus the Vanir, or Asir, whatever. I don't know how to say those. The different factions of Viking gods, the gods of nature and the gods of civilization, and it's the exact same divide that's between all the Indo-European religions, like the Viking gods and the Greek gods and the Indian gods apparently are all vaguely the same. The Ashras and the Devas, the gods versus the Titans, the Aesir versus the Vanir, and others. You have like gods of the old world and the natural, and gods of the new world and the technological, I guess you could say, kind of. That was technology at the time.
Yeah.
And that is why the weakness of fairies was of being cold iron ought to be translated as cold steel in the modern day. That is, fairies are weak to bullets.
That's also a good episode title.
Fairies are weak to bullets. Or violence in general.
And I'm sure you could make a complete cipher wheel of axes around the chart.
Yeah.
Like not only on these diagonals or on the main axis, of course, but also in between.
What are some? Like, what are? Like I'm just gonna burn through my other ones real quick. Tactics and strategy. I feel like the pure instinct is way more on the tactics side because it's about dealing immediately with what's right in front of you. Whereas strategy is like long term and weighing the interweaving long range, lots of people stuff, whatever. Yeah. Tactics versus strategy. And let's see, thinking fast and slow, like the book, where the fast think is like instinct, literally, and the slow think is like taking a long time to think about things. Yeah, writing papers and stuff. Elves versus orcs. Direct and indirect. I spent too long looking at this chart and my mind turned to mush. I entered into a fugue state, which explains the last like 15 minutes of me talking almost uninterrupted. You may now check the fugue state off of your bingo card.
Yes.
I wonder if you could put like the class specting wheel on this.
I hope so.
I still don't think that maps well to neurotyping. But we could try.
Not exactly, but perhaps.
So to come back to reality, there goes gravity, and actually address skroy directly. I don't know how much I agree with the simplified versus complex thing, where like complex information is the impressionistic and like that I can jive with. Like impressionistic information can be very complex, but like I don't feel like lexical is simplified.
Yeah, me neither.
So, well, I guess that's why you changed your mind then, huh? All right. Go ahead.
Well, my idea at the time was like that impressions are just more data put into a single thing. But right now, I would just say it's they both have the same amount, but it kind of covers more ground.
Or I would think of it like optimization and like compilation. So you already have like the program and it's like completely compiled by the lexical person. So he can just grab it when he wants to and runs very fast.
I keep going back to that idea of edges. Like, yeah, maybe it's the same amount of information, but it's smooth on the lexeme. So you have like clear, distinct boxes, whereas on the impression set, there's a lot of texture, there's a lot of fuzziness on the surface, and that itself is, you can consider that information. There is bits that can be gained out of that, but also makes it stack not as well.
It's just things look like other things, so it's kind of like pulling the string out of a sock or something.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a distinction being drawn between something being complex and something being complicated? This is a favorite of a buddy of mine.
No.
Yeah. In brief, a Swiss Army knife is complicated and an anthill is complex.
Ah, okay.
Lots of different parts.
Complex just means many moving pieces, and complicated means difficult.
Many ways.
Complicated, difficult. Lots
intricate, I guess.
Lots of different kinds of pieces.
Yeah.
Whereas a complex interaction might be something like a flock of birds, where the different systems interact with each other in to reach greater and greater stages of complex. I got to get away from the word complexity while I'm trying to explain complexity. Like interacting stuff that interacts in a cool way to produce cool results. What's another one? A spirograph. Those are complex. What's another complex thing? Neurons.
Neurotyping.
I mean, yeah, actually, neurotyping would be a good one, because look at how many different dichotomies and axes and different ways of processing stuff we can draw out of this one idea. That's a good idea example of something that's complex, because there's a lot of like richness in it.
Yeah, you can.
It's like one idea that you can draw a lot of interpretations from.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe impressionism.
Yeah, I think this comes from a kind of that neurotyping is very decentralized. I can say that we already are an anthill. Like we are all the ants.
Yeah,
and we
we're already
together,
a rhizome.
and we make up neurotyping. That's why we are complex.
Ants.
Yeah. I think maybe a linear person is more likely to see the same thing as complicated, and a lateral person is more likely to see the same thing as complex. That is, if you have something that's both, they're going to emphasize those features, because those are what stand out. Like interacting, like different interacting elements that all play off of each other, where you have to have all of them in your head at once in order to really understand it. That's more of a lateral thing.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder if that goes too far. If you might have something that's actually just complicated. Like, no, actually, these different systems, they don't really interact that much. You're just drawing more into their interactions and over highlighting that, but actually they're just individuals. Yeah, there's got to be some situations where linear wins, you know?
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm trying so hard not to shit on linear people.
I mean, while you're connecting your little pins with red string on your board, you can just have an arrow thrown into your back, and that's not good.
Yeah.
Roman has released like a billion videos like just yesterday.
Right.
Way ahead of you.
Yeah, so that's my mess of dichotomies. If I I've now become a blur. I was going back to something, and I don't remember what. This chart is good. We spent 40 minutes talking about it. This chart is good.
Yeah. It's
good job.
Good. One of the important neurotyping posts, I feel like. Even if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Aren't they all?
Yeah, right. They're all wrong. That's the issue. And they're wrong in different, interesting ways. That's the point of the show.
Mm-hmm.
You, dear listener, you have the only actually working and completely true interpretation of neurotyping, and you have managed to come to it from listening to all of the wrong ones on the show. You're the only one.
Please come to the Discord if you haven't so already. Don't go to Reddit, please.
Right. But coming from that to someone who has a wrong understanding of neurotyping, let's get back to our good friend, not null, not void, who is rapidly on the path of becoming the next blind deaf mute. The comment under here is, you're basically just saying that new types are eccentric geniuses and bookkeepers are dumb nerds in so many words, and so on. When literally last episode, he was calling technicians and contemplatives the only functioning people. You can't shit on others for saying their types are good when you're doing the exact same thing.
But he is positive about it. The others are negative, so that's why he's has a moral superior. No, his morals are like bad because he only lifts
call people
up.
dumb. I mean good things.
Right.
Everyone thinks they're the best.
I mean, he called new types strangely lacking in utility. He didn't get to complain.
Wow.
Wow.
Anyone have more points?
I don't think
Skroy,
so.
do you want to give some last words in this post?
No.
All right. There we go. That's the catchphrase.
Yeah.
We did it.
Nice.
All right. Luno 12. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
The post is called Yeah. It's just the chart oriented normally like a boring square, and it has coffee in the lateral lexical corner, fine wine in the lateral impressionist
use
corner.
the names. Use the quadrant names.
Oh, right. Fuck, what were they? Coffee in the what was it?
Computing.
Computing, right.
Compute.
Yeah.
Fine wine in abstracting, green tea in order, and rum in instinct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like this chart. I think I'm the only one who wrote notes in our doc that likes this chart. You guys go first, so I can own you
All right.
with facts and logic.
I don't dislike it. I look at this and I'm like, yeah, I can see what interpretation of coffee, what interpretation of fine wine, what interpretation of green tea, and what interpretation of rum you would have to make this fit perfectly. The thing is, I have so many thoughts on all of these beverages that I could fit them to every one of those. Like coffee, sure, you can think of the getting up, getting shit done, taking your coffee and going into this incredibly human calculatory state as just a betterment to your mental space. But I can also think of the incredibly jittery scatterbrain state it can get you to. I can also think of coffee as associated with the culture of the workday as something more linear. Same with... I can see how fine wine would be there, but honestly, I think wine is only there because it's red. Because it could, like, any alcohol can probably get you into this new typey abstract state. Alcohol always can, but you can also there.
Yeah.
You can go too far, get to the implication they're probably going for with rum, with the
Yeah, not even to spoil
the completely linear acting on instinct. It's fine because you drink less of it, but that also has less of an ability to get you up into the abstracting square, right? There's so much. These are all such complicated notions. These drinks.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes with this.
Yeah.
You're thinking too hard.
So, on the face of it, just from reading the chart, you can tell what he means, though, right?
Right. No, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Like, the vibe...
I know what specific implications he means at any point.
The vibe that he's putting out with the coffee is like the, I guess I want to say, like, study coffee use. Like, coffee is fuel for creatives of a particular kind because of focus.
Yeah.
And anti-fatigue. And wine being like artsy. That's the abstract is the artsy corner. And then
put this picture on screen.
Tea, I think of like Zen.
Yeah.
You know, where what you're going for is like...
Right, that's what I kind of think green tea could also be more an instinct.
Presentness and clarity.
Schiller side of instinct, but yeah.
Yeah, but with Zen, if you go all the way Zen, then you're in the instinct zone. But most people who actually go in that direction or land otherwise in the Buddhosphere, if they're not on the Presci side, then they're definitely like...
Right, it's Gen X yoga mom kind of Zen.
Yeah.
Which is firmly in this order quadrant.
Damn it. Hi, Mom.
I was actually, I'm thinking about just flipping coffee and green tea.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I can also see that.
I think I would put... Because coffee makes you focused. Focus is linearity. So...
Yeah.
Like if you're in the abstract or if you're in the computation zone, then you're using it to like narrow your focus, like turn like a lens upon the sun that is you. And that's more of a order quadrant thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like tea, I guess I don't really have any much of a justification for that beyond like similar effect as coffee, but if we look at like
it's less direct. It's more tea has more the placebo effect of I'm drinking tea.
No.
It's way more there's more complexity. That's way more the social implications of the drink as opposed to the direct fucking caffeine hit. And that's what I mean. All these drinks mean so much that they could be placed anywhere, which just tells me that beverage typing is way more complex than neurotyping.
All right, I want to defend my decision
amazing.
because I rediscovered the thing that I thought of that made me want to switch tea and coffee. Okay, coffee and rum are both good on their own, but they're strong on their own, and so people commonly mix them with things like milk.
Yeah, among them with each other.
Yes,
which is
yeah. So they get along really well. See my weirdly distended chart where it's wider at the top than it is at the bottom. Then tea and wine are both artsy things. Like green tea has this like Eastern artsy zone.
Right.
And wine has a very different but still artsy zone. Okay. And then so that makes the top and the bottom work with each other. Like they vibe together now, and it doesn't disrupt the symmetry that was already there the other way, where you have uppers on the left and downers on the right.
Right. I know one thing that I don't like is that it specifically says fine wine, because fine wine makes me think of rich old people, which are linears.
Yeah.
It should just be wine, or I don't know, but perhaps even cheap wine.
Wait,
I know a lot of
hang on.
natural impressionists who just wait. Yeah,
you tell me that Lord Byron is in the bottom left. Tell me that. No, Lord Byron.
Who's Byron again?
He was the guy who invented the anti-hero. He's like this poet.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, that guy. All right.
He like the Byronic hero is somebody who is like tortured internally, and what they're eventually toppled by in tragedies is there is a fatal flaw that is like close and personal rather than just being some fucking fact about them. Like the fact that you happen to be born to these particular parents who one of whom you wind up marrying, and then you gouge your eyes out.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. When I think wine, I think of Lord Byron and that zone. And if you want to take it in the like very base level of wine, like a box of goon, Karl Marx, the Bohemians, that zone.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Karl Marx is definitely a Lexi, but yeah.
Right, but that doesn't mean that he lived the Lexi lifestyle.
Right, and the Bohemian lifestyle is very, very high Latin. I agree.
Yeah.
That's why I'm living it.
Well.
Yeah, same.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
What, you mean like the Bohemian lifestyle?
None of this.
Okay.
I meant like in general, I think.
Okay.
That's what you mean. Me too. By the way, I'm just laughing for
I don't
the
need an explanation though.
I guess
fine.
if you watch the movie come on, Moulin Rouge, I think if you watch the movie Moulin Rouge, you'll get it. Gitchy ya he, mocha choca latataya.
What?
The old lady marmalade. Truly, words to live by.
Yeah.
That was from a song that was used to advertise the movie.
Right.
It's not even in the movie. Christina Aguilera. I'm old.
No, I remember that song. I don't know anything about the movie, but I remember that song.
Yeah. Somebody in the comments posted that Pure Instinct should get energy drinks.
I don't think they need it.
No. I mean, like, we're not neurotyping what drinks best suit these people.
Right.
What are the neurotypes of the drinks?
Right.
I don't know. It seems too artificial for Pure Instinct.
That's a good point. That's why it wasn't totally jiving for me. I wanted to point it out to try and pull out from you guys what I thought was wrong with it, because
that's probably
I was just mush from the previous chart.
That'd be more Linlex, probably. Perhaps. Maybe not even. No, that's the centrist one. Energy drink.
Energy drinks are the centrist one. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's caffeine, but also other drugs.
Caffeine and such. It's some stuff. There's some stuff in there.
I feel enlightened. All right, I'm chill. What else we got?
Yeah, sure, we can move on. Okay. Title Cosmic Thing, and this is just a copy pasta from the death of the first Neurocord. So I was just using this as a jumping off point to talk about that, because that's what happened at the time. There was an earlier Neurocord headed by an evil and spiteful man who one day banished skroy, and the whole server went up in flames.
I was involved in that.
Yeah, I invited you at some point.
Yeah.
I was asleep.
And then skroy became a new despotic overlord, and nothing got better at all. But at the time, it felt like a big deal. At the time, it felt like we're having a real revolution there.
That's how it always is.
As all revolutions had failed miserably. It's about this statement. That's the only one.
There's a CGP Grey video about this called "The Keys to Power," which is why every uprising results in the exact same dictatorship.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
No, that was after that.
I didn't follow any of what happened in any of the Neurocord servers before or after this event, but I was directly involved in this event.
I mean, it was a very fun night. Me and some other people were sitting in voice chat at the end. We were singing Comme si ça torche together in horrible dissonance.
And
at like 6 a.m. for Germany time.
Burnt
That
and
was
everyone
horrible.
was banned around us.
I remember having the brilliant idea of giving every person in the voice call every single role.
Yeah.
Oh, that was you.
That was me.
I think Magica banned me because he was like, if anybody posts anywhere, I ban them.
We were throwing out random bans. It was we changed the title of the server multiple times. It was a mess.
All right.
Didn't they change the name of every single channel too?
Oh yeah.
Maybe we should actually give a brief history first. So, the first server was owned by a guy called Michael, who never posted there at all. No one knew what his deal was. He was just the server owner. And at some point, he banned skroy on terms of Machiavellian scheming and attempting to gain power in untoward ways. People didn't like that because while the jury was mixed on skroy, skroy at least was active. People knew the deal with skroy. And this guy, he wasn't part of the community. He can't just ban people. So we rose up in protest and burned the whole fucking place down.
Yeah, they
in one long voice chat that ended with the complete ransacking of the server. And then skroy's Machiavellian schemes played out perfectly, and he became the owner of the next server and actually has that power now.
Keep reminiscing for a minute. I need to take care of something. I'll be right back.
So the other admins actually unbanned skroy, and then Michael took away all of their admins. And that was the thing people especially did not like. It's like, what are you doing? Apparently the guy was like moving or something.
Moving for months or what?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
He's just getting ready to move.
Yeah, wasn't there one with mods powers, like he forgot or something? Wasn't that somebody?
I don't know.
Like, wasn't there like somebody who forgot their mod powers? Like forgot to turn them down or something?
Oh, that must have been Novodad.
There was another
Novodad or something.
admin
Yeah,
role.
it was Novodad who gave everybody else mod powers.
Yeah, he had unbanned me the second time. I did the backups of the server, and a few minutes after that, I got banned again.
I return.
But the interesting part is that while he took away the admin powers, he didn't take away the role-giving powers. There was another role that had admin powers, so the mods could give anyone the admin role. So that's how it happened.
Yeah. Oh man, so that was like when we discovered that was why I suggested let's just give everyone in the voice call every role. Because people were like starting to stack up roles.
Do you get
bonus
bonus mod powers if he's centrist opens his centrist drink?
Watch if I can open it.
And another fun fact is that the Digicord has pretty much the same thing. Well, not pretty much, kind of.
Oh yeah,
the same thing going on.
Over, right?
Yeah. There was just constant spamming, like 100 messages a minute for like 2 days straight. It was fun, yeah. But it got Trixie left somewhere at that time, and the power went to some people.
I remember it briefly became an endless war like server.
Yeah.
It was like slime colonized, and the icon for the server was slime dipped.
Yeah. Well, the mods who were mods at that time just gave the powers to Ben, because why not? Well, Trix left, so why not? Who cares now? And then Ben gave the mod to somebody else, and now it's peace and quiet.
Oh, yeah, I want to briefly use my highly visible public platform to say lolicon rights.
Yeah.
I am the lolliest boy, pro lolly. Yay.
Do we have to make another, content warning again? Discussions of pedophilia.
That wasn't problematic enough.
Oh, just cut it.
Well, Can we have like
Don't
slowly...
take that as don't take that as an invitation to make it more problematic.
Can we have discussions about pedophilia then?
Can we have the song by Oingo Boingo, I Love Little Girls, just like fade in for a little bit and then fade? No, we'd probably get content ID.
Probably could.
5-year-old Benny shot.
I could do that, but I don't want.
Little girls,
I don't want the episode taken down for copyright.
Wait, yeah, that can actually happen. Feel really unlucky.
Well, do we have any more on this?
How did we get there?
What?
How did we get you like a copy pasta? I thought we were going to read the copy pasta, but apparently no.
Yeah.
So what was
the reason this even came up
Yeah.
is because when the server went down, a lot of people were spamming lolly art.
Apparently there like multiple of these servers that are in the biosphere were like targeted with lolly stuff because some people believe that drawings should be illegal, which is dumb. If you think that, then I don't like you.
Depends. Sure.
Well,
I mean, if you
okay,
like
so
exactly like trace like actual like CP, then I maybe have a small problem with that. Because
I mean, what is a letter if not a drawing of symbols? And if I send someone a death threat, I'd say, "Oh, you think this drawing should be illegal? You fucking idiot!" If something directly invites a certain action, then sure.
well, it's the fact that it invites an action is the problem with it, though. Like, to drop character
Right.
for a minute, it's not the thing that you're saying that I have a problem with. It is what you are accomplishing with the thing that you're saying.
Right.
Like, because of the concept of speech actions, you can say things that
But that would still
do
mean that the
stuff.
drawing is, well, in this case, the drawing of a letter is illegal.
Well, the thing that I object to about lolly art is when people
I don't
use
disagree
it
with you.
for-
Yeah, I don't think Lolly is doing that.
Right, I don't think that lolly is doing that. But if you like, what people want to avoid is using it for grooming purposes or something like that. And
Right.
it's not the art that is bad; it is the grooming that is bad.
Yeah. Agreed.
like with racism, it's not the words that are the problem, it's the racism that's the problem. You're not using any of the words if you say something like, well, we don't serve those kind of people around here. But that's really super racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to another normal episode of the Neurotyping, your favorite podcast.
Wait until you get to the last post of this one. We're like, this is a show all about being off the rails. There are no rails.
Right.
The rails.
That's another possible, like, add that to the vote. By the way, did you know that you can vote on titles for the Neurotypeline? If you get into the Discord, you can, like, we'll give you prospective titles and you can vote on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can vote.
be
It's
you.
not like guaranteed that we will, take them, but
Right.
you can still vote.
Yeah, you also get occasional access to funny takeout clips or other things.
Like interaction with us.
Previews.
There's a clip
Yeah.
where I call you betas.
Oh,
It's a nice place. Come join us in the Discord.
to get nearly canceled, I have to share something with you that is on the lolly subject before we move on. I gotta find it. Do we have anything more to say about like drama at the time?
No, I'm pretty much done with this post. I just thought it was an important historical event to mention.
It is.
So everything from now on happens on new Neurocord.
New.
Under the iron grasp of skroy.
I should have had this pulled up already, but I did not because I wasn't totally sure if I would have gotten, like shut down on this subject. Right here. This is the most on-topic thing that I could think of.
All right.
Laura
This is
Croft
Dora.
recolored to be Dora the Explorer.
Oh, yeah, there's another. Yeah, I thought it was like Dora, but I didn't get the other reference.
It's Laura the Explorer or Dora Croft.
All right.
Also, and to be honest, I only saw the Dora part because of the Spanish.
Well, being a big time lolicon, I'm very plugged into that color scheme. Like and it's very easy for me to recognize Dora.
All right. Not null, not void. Logical describes the linear edge of the chart more so than the lexical edge. This describes laterality with pattern matching, linearity with logic, lexicality with symbols, and impressionism with feelings. And that in itself is... We've had similar ideas before. Maybe logic being linear is sort of new, but I'd have the same complaints with it. Also, feelings for impressionism continues to be bad.
Yeah.
But it also has descriptions for the quadrants, or for the corners. And, well, on the top there, pattern matching against concepts for lateral lexicality, and pattern matching against feelings for abstracting types. It's following symbolic logic for order types and following narrative logic for instinct types.
Those are pretty good.
The idea of symbolic logic and narrative logic is really interesting to me, and I think that's truth there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That immediately grabbed me too. And then I had a very satisfying moment of flipping back to the notes and seeing that you had written something about that. Like, we got the same thing.
Yeah. Right. Because narratives are these... It's, as I said, it's the interlocking vines. It's the jungle, it's the trees, everything is sort of connected, and you have a flow of information that arises through that. Whereas symbolic logic is... we have this building block, and it means that, and then the next one. Right, symbols are categories.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Symbolic logic is...
I like that you threw jungle in there. Like it has such... Yes, I think of Primitive Technology, the channel, and how pure instinct the creation on that show is, even though it comes from a very lexical place.
I think of these complex systems of plants on all layers that all feed off each other, these really weird and convoluted connections between everything.
Oh, I'm definitely thinking of people in the jungle.
Okay.
Welcome to the jungle! We got you fun and games! Wow, I apparently did set my mic properly because I didn't clip that time. Cool. Guns N' Roses is what I'm doing. I'm doing Guns N' Roses. I'm trying to be Axl Rose because he has a very specific voice, and that's about as close to it as I can get. Anyway, I also want to super highlight the name Sensate right here for Impressionist. That's I feel like I am now complete. Like,
oh yeah, that was one of Reed's suggestions, I think.
Oh yeah, that is so good.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think.
Well, now I'm gonna remember it. All right.
All right. Yeah.
Sensate. I think that works even better than meditative.
Yeah, that was one I thought of. Yeah, I guess sensate just seems a little weird. Like I think of the word sensei every time.
Well, it gives more of a direction that I at least want to go in. Maybe we should like flag down a flock of Lexis.
I mean, both of those are definitely better.
Yeah.
Definitely an improvement.
Sensei, like I feel like we're making societal progress here. You know?
Yeah. And that is one.
This is our universal health care.
It has been around for a bit, so people recognize that one more than meditative. Yeah, pretty good. All
right. I broke in the middle of an explanation there. What were you saying?
Huh?
My highlighting of Sensate was like a fork right in the middle of Ouro saying something.
I wasn't saying anything. I just said, yeah, I think. I don't think I was making a point.
Did you press the stop button? No, did you? No. Did you press stop button? No. Did you? No.
All right, so
Yeah,
this
I don't think I had something.
I want to highlight the comment by Kolakoko here of this is just a different chart now, and like, no, it's not. I disagree with you.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, you need some weird interpretations of things like feelings. In what world is feelings just opposed to symbols? But hey, it's still noticeably the same chart. It's an interpretation I don't completely agree with, but there's bits of this that definitely apply to the chart. Mm-hmm. The narrative as symbolic logic thing is great. It matches the original chart perfectly.
I feel like the listing of feelings...
It's at least 70% the same chart.
Yeah. I feel like the listing of feelings and symbols on here is trying to get at the idea of...
right. Yeah, right. That's what I mean. I get what it's getting at.
Yeah, it's not the opposite, but it is a different thing that you could focus on in communication.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in that way, it is opposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't quite get the logic versus pattern matching thing. That's
that
weird.
That I'm more disagreeing with. In particular, that it's pattern matching on the top.
I think what it's getting at is a thing about computers. Like, logic is the simple, if this, then we're pattern matching. I get the implication of, like, some deep learning algorithm. It's just taking a bunch of data and producing something from that that's essentially a black box. Like, you can't trace the logic behind it back.
Yeah, I wanted to say...
I get from it.
I exactly wanted to say the same. So logic is just, mathematicians, what they do when they on foundations, or when computers do literally just scripts, like following code. And concepts is just like neural networks doing like pattern matching, having intuition, artificial intelligence, and so on and so on. I can very much see how they thought about this and said, oh yeah, if we have like lateral people, they already, like, so to say, already have mastered the mathematics behind the logic, so they just seek after like intuition and like concepts, neural networking, so on and so on. While the linear people are like very, very interested in the logic part, the extra like small details, so to say, like the nitty-gritty. But on the other hand, that sound just makes linear sound dumb. So, that's not good.
There's a comment saying that it would look better if you change the logic to deductive reasoning and pattern matching to inductive.
Oh yeah, wait, there was a comment about that, right? Who was it? Gigrut, who's not typed. Yeah, in the comments. Logic to deductive reasoning and pattern matching to inductive reasoning. Yeah.
Inductive.
Does that make sense to you? Like, does that line up for you? Deductive and inductive reasoning.
I forgot what that was actually. Oh no, wait, I remembered. Yeah.
Deductive is when you.
I don't like it as much.
Yeah, I know.
Interpretation is sort of different.
No, but I think that's like different things. I would not equate them.
Yeah.
Also, another comment.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, that's a weird word to use. What I actually wanted to say about this comment is like it's a chicken wing thing. I forgot if we like already talked about this. But I'm with you on the logic part, and pattern matching is necessary aspect of logic, or at least an expression of logic. The ability to pattern match is one of the key metrics that's used in IQ tests, for instance. So the thing is, the last thing I would think about pattern matching is like what's used for IQ test. No,
yeah,
I don't want to like sound disrespectful to the person, but this is not like what I don't think that's what the poster thought about this.
IQ tests don't measure your logic skills.
Yeah, basically, this is not a pattern matching. This is just
right. It's way more a measuring of pattern matching, and also, yeah, probably there is some logic behind you being able to pattern match, but that's not the point. That one thing necessitates some of the other doesn't mean that they're not distinct. pattern matching is a few layers up from logic. As I said, it's usually at the point where it's a black box and you can no longer explain why those connections were drawn. They just are, and now you can create new patterns from that.
So on the deductive inductive thing, it's been a couple of years because I've been out of college a while, but I think I remember that deductive reasoning is going from like strict premises following strict procedure to get to strict conclusion in this very methodical, necessary kind of way, whereas induction is like general statements of like probability and making a probability based argument to get to a strong conclusion, something like that.
Yeah, you're sort of drawing between things like, oh, this is, I sort of know this and this and this and that, and so it's probably this. Right.
And there's a third one that nobody talks about. Instead of deducing, you abduce something, which is like, we know what is, so what is a plausible explanation that may produce the current results? Like walking outside and seeing that the ground is wet, but everywhere, and concluding that it rained. That's an example of this reasoning. And this appeals to me specifically as a lolicon because abduction is like my favorite thing. Oh, that was terrible. I'm patting myself on the back for making an abduction joke out of that. It is called abductive reasoning, but the verb is abduce, not abduct.
Yes.
But I just love that those line up and appeal to me personally, and hopefully you.
Would abductive be like the center line then?
Well, I think that's the actual thing that happens more often on the top edge rather than the, like, if we're doing top to bottom edge for deduction versus another thing, like, I agree about the deduction. What I disagree about is what is the top. I think it's more seeing, like, imagine what it takes to see a particular state and then retroconstruct what may have led to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like you're trying to create an arrangement of premises or starting points that would yield what you're seeing as a way of like justifying or explaining what you get, as opposed to induction, which seems, I don't know, more like, honestly, it seems like lexical behavior. You know, like you have a particular rule and that works in a general case, and then you're trying to categorically apply it to everything.
Yeah,
Tolgi, you can say it.
Back check.
Episode title. Oh no.
Episode title.
You already have an episode
Tolgi
title. This is the title
abduction
of the
Abduction appeals to my lolicon. I like abducting lollies.
YouTube didn't like that.
YouTube didn't like that.
Yeah, not doing that.
Yeah, we already have an episode.
Do we want to move on to the next post?
But as a final note, just to extra highlight, I want to end this segment which I have ruined.
Speaking of lollies, I want to come.
Speaking of lollies, I want to come back to sensate. I like them sensitive. God
damn it.
I want to come back to the sensate. Just remember that sensate is what we are now calling the impressionist to separate impressionist from impressionism.
Right.
Impressionist should just be the kind of person who's on the right side.
Yeah. I'm still attached to meditative because it holds a nice pattern. Like you have technician and aesthetician and contemplative and meditative.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, sensate is also good. So either of those two.
meditative to be to sensitive what room brightener is to externalist. The clearly better name that was not used.
Yeah. So the next post, none of you can read, apparently.
What?
It says Neurodoc update. Yes, we did the types before, but there was a later update that is the access description. That is what this post is about.
Okay.
It says
it was
that.
the text part.
Yeah.
Right.
No, not the text part, like specifically the access description, the last 2 chapters. Because those were added way later.
The access description.
To be specific, they were added like a week before we started this podcast.
Okay.
All right.
When I finally figured out where I was drawing these type descriptions from. Like what the overarching framework even is.
Oh yeah, that's what
it took me half a year to figure this out. Not half a year, a few months.
That's awfully close to half a year.
Yeah. So
I like this the brief beginning here. Laterality is a measure of scale, a dichotomy between the complete and the completely atomized. It is not a measure of intelligence by way of being able to consider the massive whole of something. They are both perfectly capable, but their approaches are different. That feels pretty final to me. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, right. There's also this quick introduction. Long overdue update since I finally feel like I can put a thing into words. A piece of feedback I've frequently gotten is that the type descriptions themselves feel right, but that my approach to the axis isn't clear. Time to remedy this. And then I just typed out like half a page for each of the axes, and everything is solved now.
Oh, you only directly posted the document link itself in the notes. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just saw that you
but it
changed
says
the
Neurodoc update on top of that.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I was just trying to trace where I went wrong.
Yeah.
Also very nice of you that you changed the name of the NeuroChat creator. I did not know that.
Right.
It's very nice of you.
Should we like read both of these?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lin-Lat axis. Laterality is a measure of scale, a dichotomy of the complete and the completely atomized. It is not a measure of intelligence by way of being able to consider the massive whole of something. They are both perfectly capable, but their approaches are different. Here's an example. A thought is an object, and not just any particular thought, but the whole construct of them. Everything you consider at one time is part of the same complex topology, since you are able to connect them and find links. You are able to synthesize thoughts only because they were already one all along. It's Trixie's idea of laterality causing the entirety of your life to be part of every consideration. The key objection I have is that your whole life will always be part of your thoughts, no matter how linear you are. Your life shaped your mind, after all, but a linear person will approach the vast polydimensional thought object from a distance, with the surface presenting the pertinent facing them. This is the macro approach, the thing as whole. They can, of course, zoom in to consider the detail, should they become relevant, but only as aspects and perspectives of a whole, not as a true part objects, haphazardly clustered. Laterals consider the microscopic. What appears as multiple/branching/diffuse trains of thought is the consideration of the whole object not as one, through a synthesized confluence of perspectives, but as all of its atoms and their interplay. The whole emerges incidentally as the outline of all the thoughts once a meta is established. Here zooming out is of course also possible, but the whole cannot be seen as an absolute topology, but as a swarm. Sort of the thing by itself, yes, but you can still see the individual pieces moving, and it is very hard to look at the whole thing and consider its borders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's laterality. Sort of the idea of either a solid block or sort of a swarm of birds. Mm-hmm. You can see the whole swarm as a thing, but you can never convince yourself that it's one blob. You always see the small bits moving, and you can't quite figure out the outline. Whereas the linear would be very good at constructing the outline, probably even better at at simulating its behavior because they don't have to keep track of these small little things that in general still follow one collective line out of the swarm.
The paring away of details, or the paring away of the extraneous details.
Yeah,
like that sound right?
Yeah,
you streamline it.
Okay. Lex Impaxes. I used to describe the tendency of impressionists to be one of overcoding, and while I think that's the more correct term, the idea is more easily understood by just juxtaposing a focus on decoding with one of encoding. What does focus mean? Not that they What does focus mean? Not that they are good at it, but that it is the more involved process for them. A thing that emerges more prominently as a general facet of their cognition itself. We can conceive of the capital W world as all conceptomic idea or objects, as polydimensional, intricately structured shapes and hypershapes, topologies. An impressionist thinker will interact with this perceived reality unmediated, shaping and entangling these shapes directly in their contemplation of them, while the communicative act manifests as the projection of topological space onto the lesser dimensional space of singular objects, disentangle typologisms, lexemes, words, etc. The quality of the encoding is almost not neurotype dependent and more a function of practice and effort. Decoding is not usually necessary for normal cognition on the imp side of the spectrum, and thus not a process they typically consider. Since communicative acts are abundant in the day-to-day, impressionists will have a deep connection to the encoding function, though. Lexicals think and reason not with the direct conceptomic object, but with the lexemes that are derived disentangled topologisms with the object's image. The communicative act is thus a relatively frictionless transfer into another medium, which does not typically involve encoding. To arrive at the lexemic single object requires a decoding of reality itself, which directly follows perception, though. An aspect of the world is capable of consideration only after it has been broken down to speech-like disentangled topologisms, and can be rearranged during the course of contemplation and reasoning. The decoding function thus permeates their thought, being its natural and inevitable first step. Quality of decoding is again not based on neurotype, but practice and effort. The Lex-Imp axis describes the relative prominence of encoding and decoding processes within one's thought.
So the impressionists are giving you zip files.
Yes.
Okay, so to give again a less wordy thing, impressionism is just working with your thoughts are essentially the same as the things in the world you got them from. They have the same sort of texture, and to explain them to people, you have to go through a very convoluted process of putting that into words, putting just world things into words. So they have like a deep connection to this, fucking speaking is a chore. You have to somehow translate this. Whereas lexicality is you look at the world and you already put it into these artificial or human, anthropological, whatever, categories. Make them already sort of word-like or symbol-like things in your head, and then communication is easy. You just relay the symbol things. You just make them language, which they already kind of are. So it's whether you do the coding bit at the very start, putting everything into categories so you can use it later, or doing it at the end, thinking in world bits and then having to make it language later on.
So like a categorical is a person who looks up. Wait, no, I lost the thing that I was saying. Damn it. All
right,
it's gone. But the other thing that I was trying to say, I was trying to hold two things in my mind at once, and both in words.
Not lateral enough.
Which is impossible. No one can do that. At least nobody in the purple column. One phrased thing at a time. So, if I'm getting it correctly, then what you've got is you have an easier time naturally encoding things. If you are a lexi, you don't have to think about how to encode things into for communication. Right. And if you are a preshie, you have an easy time decoding things.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so impressionism is decode first, and then encode is the effort, the direction toward the lexical side, and then
you have to
the
learn
reverse for the
how to
lexical.
encode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then I did pay attention.
Yeah.
Skroy, do you have a reaction to this?
I mean, he used some of my terms earlier in the description of chaos theory, so
Did I?
I think Skroy hated it completely at the start, but I might have won him over a bit.
Dude, I think you lost him.
Well, I do hate everything, but I mean, I have a totally different idea, so of course I disagree. But
Right.
I want to clarify though: is the decoding and encoding processes appear when you at the moment of internalizing things, or
And
is there a work that happens when you consume information?
well, for me, not because I'm Lexi. I think with world things, not with word things.
Yeah.
So there's little decoding to be done.
You just said you're Lexi.
You definitely said it
Human.
backwards. You said you were Lexi.
Oh,
Yes.
oh no.
Impressionist.
I'm not a Lexi. I think with world things, as in things in the... My thoughts have the same texture as the space around me does.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have to do much to fit them in my head. I don't have to make them symbols. I only have to make them symbols when I'm trying to tell to others.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Lexi would have to make them symbols to even think with them. And then speaking is easy, because they're already symbols.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you think, Skroy, that's sort of what your one description you had of like impressionist. It's just sort of like it just is the thing,
Yeah, kind of.
like the thing you're working with just is the world. Like if I see this coffee mug, like I'm not.
Yeah, I get it.
It's like just immediately there as it is in my head. Like there's no. All the wording comes later. The classifying. What the come?
Yeah, from reality circumnavigators. Sorry. I'm very sorry, I was a bit
Yeah, no, that's fine.
driven off.
I mean, I guess I've talked about the general ideas a lot over the course of the Typeline, so it makes sense that we wouldn't have much to add. Only this weirdly overcomplicated and sciencey sounding, not sciencey sounding, weirdly obtuse definition of it.
You definitely sound educated.
Yeah, right, and that's the point. People will believe you if you do that.
Depends on what part of the country you're in.
Right, I suppose.
Yep. I had thoughts about linear and lateral more recently. Like, it was originally described as like one versus multiple trains of thought, but I think the better way to think about it is it's all one train, but it has more to do with the tracks. So lateral is like there are more and more junctions that appear. So it's easier to just like completely switch what track you're even on to begin with.
Yeah, well, in my interpretation, it's laterals would be more prone to thinking of it as having multiple thoughts at once because they look at every one thought. Well, the thought is the swarm of birds, and the lateral would be more prone to think of these small individual bits all flying in kind of different directions and doing their own little things, so it's hard to think of it as one thought, which it generally is. There's a lot of small parts, whereas the linear would still have those birds in there, but they think of the swarm as one big blob moving through the sky.
I guess what I'm trying to
concrete.
say is like, I don't think there's like more mind space there.
Right.
Like, if the train is like the focal point, I guess, and the tracks are the actual thoughts. Yeah.
Alright, let's get to something far less pretentious. Cheese theory.
Cheese
Far
theory,
less
okay.
pretentious immediately goes to fancy cheeses. All right.
Okay, the problem
So
with this
how many
one,
of these cheese?
Milk, my favorite fancy cheese.
Yeah, I didn't
Yes.
actually like. This is Magica's pretty much. This is another one that I just like made a chart and posted it.
It's magical,
Yeah,
is what it is.
it's
I
kind of
love
weird,
this chart.
like how many people are like, "Dude, it's too accurate," but I don't see it at all.
You- All right, so milk is the most direct. It is cheese that hasn't had anything done to it, including turning it into cheese.
Yeah.
That immediate directness is perfect. What is the most uptight, boring cheese possible? Kraft American cheese singles.
Yep.
Bookkeepers.
Slice of cheese.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a bad cheese fan because despite having talked about fancy cheeses multiple times on my show Taste Test,
I only know milk.
there's several of these cheeses that I just can't tell apart. Like Human Calculator, Aesthetician, and Sensate all look like the same cheese to me, but in different shapes.
Yeah, I don't
Are
remember.
they supposed to be
the
different? I don't
distinction is.
know.
I think so. I just don't remember.
They have different shapes. Yeah.
Is it?
I guess the color is like different. I mean, the human calculator is not literally like white.
I would assume that the one human calculator is a hard cheese because the more lexy you go, the harder they become generally. No, wait, that's not true.
Yeah, that's what the
Parmesan isn't
cheesecake is.
quick-witted,
Oh, wait, is that
It's
even?
harder than Kraft cheese.
All right. So if I were to make a guess, I would probably wager that the human calculator is probably feta.
Maybe. Actually, I'm gonna see what happens if I Google.
Which of these other two cheeses do you think would be cream cheese?
cream cheese? Isn't cream cheese that's in level-headed?
That's ricotta.
Ricotta is like the nearest thing that I could compare it to is like cottage cheese, but it doesn't taste like cottage cheese. Kind of. Ricotta is what's on the inside of a lasagna. There you go.
Yeah.
Cream cheese, on the other hand, is what you put on bagels. It tastes sweet,
Yeah.
Hmm.
very sweet. So sweet that you make frosting out of it.
Isn't that what's in clear-sighted? Or...
I don't know what that
Clear-sighted.
is.
I thought that was yogurt, just based on the fact that there's
that's
milk.
yogurt.
There's one that's milk. Well, what's the next step out from milk? Yogurt. Instinct, gang.
Right. I mean, I was assuming that milk was the only thing in the chart that isn't actually cheese, as a joke.
I mean, yeah, this is a cheese chart, not a yogurt chart. That's a different branch, kind of.
I would assume that this is some kind of cream cheese.
Well, brie is so like gooey that it barely qualifies as a cheese to me.
Okay.
The externalist cheese is brie, just from looking at it. What are some other cheeses?
Brie or camembert, they look the same.
Yes, brie and camembert are the same thing. Fight me.
No, they taste different, but they look the same.
They have a bloom on them and they're soft on the inside. That's the same. I'm aware that they're different.
Also, just want to say that the ricotta has actually like the plastic wrappage around it, so I guess that's also not cheese. Please be aware of that. Don't just eat the package.
Yeah, don't just eat the package. With
just
American cheese singles from Kraft, you can't tell that you have unwrapped it because it has taken on the flavor of plastic. It's been plastic colonized. That's a little unfair. I have complicated feelings about American cheese. All right, that can be its own podcast, probably on the Arch Plays. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
So actually, where's actually Parmesan? Is that like the thing quick-witted, or am I like, because that looks like way too yellow for that? Usually,
I think that's Parmesan quick-witted, yeah.
I know that I have the cheese that is in my head, but it is not coming to me. damn it. Am I thinking Emmentaler?
No. Oh, wait. No, Emmentaler isn't that hard. Emmentaler might be what's in Overseer.
Oh yeah, that looks
The Overseer cheese.
Overseer.
Overseer cheese is definitely just like a cartoon drawing of Swiss.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but it could be Emmentaler or Leerdammer or any of those.
The bubble cheeses.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I feel like just the fact that of how cartoony it is, that it's probably meant to be Swiss. I wouldn't mind being Swiss cheese.
You know, I like how many of these like are that I picked intentionally, like shitty PNG, like the fake transparent checkerboard backgrounds.
Oh, do you have any idea? Like, you have no way of knowing what the cheese that you Googled is in order to get the PNGs for Aesthetician and Impressionist?
No, I should have asked Magica before we did this what these were.
Yeah, you should have maybe written a comment about like listing. Oh yeah, by the way, if you are not a complete cheese expert or a cheese mod or a modern r/cheese, then here are the cheeses I use.
Okay, well, other ones I do know. I know Analyst is blue cheese. Contemplative is pepper jack.
No, Fascinator is blue cheese. You mean? Analyst is come on, Limburger. I think.
Looks like bread.
It does. Technician looks like a pie or like a quiche.
Yeah, cheese pie. Cheesecake.
I want to guess that that's Roquefort.
I don't know.
And then in New Type, you have that one bug cheese that's like illegal, but people make it anyway.
It's maggot cheese.
Yeah, maggot cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we're horrible. This should be like in a crime chart.
I like that when I think of a New Type cheese, I go in the same kind of direction. I would have put Mimolette in there.
Mimolette, how do you spell
Because
that?
it's another one of those eaten by insects cheese, but when you receive it in the store, the insects are usually dead.
Oh, this looks like a...
and instead of maggots that you can see, it's like mites the size of like the point of a pin.
This looks like a cantaloupe.
Mimolette? Yeah, Mimolette looks like cantaloupe.
I'm not gonna Google any of those.
I need to refilm the taste test episode where we try Mimolette because I ate it wrong. You're supposed to eat the rind.
Wait, the edges?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're supposed to eat it with the rind because that's supposed to be the best part, and I didn't eat it, so I have to do it over again.
Interesting.
Remember, kids, don't eat the wax, but always eat the bloom. Nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. I like that Fascinator is blue cheese because it is well cultured and kind of groomery. See, because there's like mold on it.
Right.
That's what it is.
Okay, yeah, that's blue cheese.
And then Contemplative is like a pepper jack.
Yeah, that's pepper jack.
Okay. I actually did way better at this cheese identification than I would have guessed.
Understanding could be like a Gouda, maybe.
It's really hard.
Difficult to say.
By which I mean it is really soft. What is like? Okay, so if I'm really guessing, then I would have to say that Impressionist or Sensate is probably cream cheese because it's the softest one. You can spread it like butter. So what would that leave for Aesthetician?
Could it be goat cheese?
That sounds familiar.
I don't.
It has the right color for it.
Yeah, most goat cheeses are in the approximate cream cheese category.
Okay, yeah, and it looks like they're all... The pictures I'm getting are like circular. So it looks like Aesthetician is goat cheese. Either that or meditative.
Yeah, some pictures look awfully similar like that. But obviously no indication.
So goat cheese tends to be... the goat cheese that I've had has always tended to be like soft as butter, but it has this like almost sourness to it. Like there's some more complexity there that that would make me put it in Aesthetician, especially when you've got maggot cheese in the New Type. This has been a great time on our audio podcast.
Yeah, right.
Parmesan is an understanding in case somebody missed that. Cheese theory. And if you're lactose intolerant, you can just die.
Great.
Okay. The next one is neurotypes, according to a new type - technician or something. I don't know. I'm mentally ill. Shrug.
All right.
Definitely just new type.
Human calculator. I'ma just pretend to understand what you just said. Analyst. Dumb, long-winded explanation with a lack of coherent punchline. Other than that, they are right. Fascinator. Racist emo fags. New type. Well, now I'm mentally ill.
Yeah.
Technician. Don't really understand them. Shrug. We just do be vibing though. Quick-witted. Your license for long rants has ended. Hand it over. Overseer. Emo fags. Aesthetician. Pretentious and mentally ill. I feel very seen. Contemplative. Spooky with an aftertaste. Understanding. Canadian. Externalist. Kinda spooky though. Impressionist. I like y'all. Bookkeeper. Y'all give me anxiety. Learn to shut the fuck up. Level-headed. They're alright. Clear-sighted. Shh, I don't care. Pure instinct. Dumbass.
No.
Special highlights to Canadian as the understanding type.
Yeah.
Also, I like how the emo facts, the race just got booted to Fascinator instead of the now modern Overseer.
The rare
I love
racist
that.
fascinator.
Yeah, overseers are also hella racist.
No, it should have been
Except
racist.
Tabak is alright.
I am the opposite of racist. All people
Right.
and when I say the opposite of racist, I don't just mean that I'm anti-racist, because I went on this anti-racism rant in a live chat in a stream with Not a Vampire, and then we got rated because of how the YouTube algorithm works. More on that later. But I'm often the person to say, if somebody accuses me of being racism, I will say something that is equally offensive in the opposite direction, which is, nah, people are largely interchangeable.
Tarbuck is a prince. The prince of racism.
That's racist to a human race.
Ironically, princes are also usually hella racist, so maybe two negatives cancel each other out. Maybe the racism from the overseer and the racism from the prince clash and make you not racist.
Maybe.
No, he's the prince of racism, destroys it.
Right. I like how very much colored by the Discord that is. Like, pretentious and mentally ill sounds to me like a call out to me specifically.
Yes, I think it was characterized by you entirely.
Right. Same for racist emo fags and emo fags.
I mean, really, Fascinator should be more like nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
Also, long-winded explanations with lack of can punchline. Is
Who's that?
some analysts back in the server days.
Let's see. Other things. I like the interesting relationship here between kind of spooky and spooky with an aftertaste, and how it just jumps right over Canadian.
I mean, Canadians are sort of spooky. Don't they live in the woods for the most part? That's kind of spooky.
Yeah, that's true. Canadians do live in the woods.
Like both spooky and Canadian make me think cabin in the woods.
It kind of makes me think of Scary Matt from Scaredy Cats. It's a show about horror movies and stuff like that on YouTube, and I recommend it. I like that guy and the other things that he does, but also his spooky show. Particularly Bobby Duke. Babadook and used car salesman.
Nice.
Anyway, do we have any insights about new types from this?
I'm mentally ill.
Mentally ill.
Yeah.
You are mentally ill. I know.
I love the comment that's like, oh god, when this gets popular, everyone is going to type themselves as new type, just as people did for INFJ in MBTI.
That's exactly
Because
what happened.
it literally just says Lamau mentally ill. Obviously, everyone would want that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can stop people from being dumb like that and not actually thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like in general, I get annoyed when people are like, but we have to make sure people understand. It's like, they're not going to. They're not going to anyway. Like, there's only so much work we should be doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess there's certain directions that, like, of effort that are not worth it, I guess, is what I mean.
I agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
I also want to just like generally have a frustration at the kind of people who say, I'm crazy or I'm evil. Like,
Right.
fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm normal.
You don't
I am good. I am morally virtuous.
Yes.
And
Same.
not an insane person.
Part of the all right. I'm gonna highlight Cosima the Treasoner from Skryde because I'm old.
I have no idea what words you just said.
Kazuma the Treasoner, the guy with the golden right arm, from Skryde or Skryed.
Oh, okay.
Skryde, as in you have seen this via psychic
have.
powers.
Okay.
I
have never heard it called Skryde as opposed to Skryde.
Well, it's supposed to be Skryde. It just has dashes and stuff in it for dumb reasons.
Okay.
It's clearer in the comic.
Right.
Anyway, he's called the Treasoner because in a world gone mad and run by corrupt rules, doing what is right is treason.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best.
And similarly, I have only ever been put in an insane asylum for being the only sane person.
Right. Being good makes you a criminal. That's why they killed Jesus.
Right.
Happy Easter, everybody. It was yesterday for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Americans are weird and only celebrate Easter for one day when it's clearly 4 days.
Yeah.
Wait, 4? 5? No, 5 days. 5 days. Sorry.
I have always heard it
Thursday
celebrated
till
for
Monday.
3 days. But if you're doing it for realsies, I guess you're going from evening to evening. In which case, it would basically be 5 days.
Well, yeah, it's Green Thursday, then Car Friday, Car Saturday, Easter
I
Sunday.
have never
Easter Monday.
heard Green Thursday in my entire life. Please go on.
It's been a while
Green
since
Day.
I engaged with the Catholic Church at all.
That's
don't
why. Okay, it's because it's a
Wait,
Catholic
is that-
thing.
Might be. Well, no. My roommate is a filthy Protestant, and he also knows it as being 5 days. So,
Green tea.
Maybe it's just like because there's
but
more
like
of a history.
German Protestantism is actual Protestantism, and I don't know what the states are even doing. So,
Yeah. Like the entrenchment over there is going to be different than the entrenchment over here.
yeah, right.
I want to compare notes about that later.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, probably off episode.
Yeah.
What the hell is Green Thursday?
Well, it's called. I just literally translated it. Maybe it's not called that in English. But
Well, I've never
the
heard of
words.
any Thursday. Anyway, moving on. Moving
All
on.
okay. Language influence by Echo is life. The language environment you're in influences your neurotype, at least as far as you can express it through language. Let's talk about the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis.
I love this shit.
If you've never heard of it, Sapir-Whorf says the language environment in which you grow up dictates or at least influences the way in which you are capable of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So there's some language somewhere in the Amazon where people don't have words for numbers.
Mm-hmm.
They have, I think, 1, 2, few, and many.
Yeah.
And
I think it's Piruha.
yeah, right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's Piruha.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
They can't count beyond 2. They just but they're still able to like have a society with commerce.
Right, no, they're perfectly intelligent, but
Yeah.
it's pretty much impossible to teach them mathematics in their language.
So-
And usually the ones who can do mathematics have been taught a different language.
So basically, they're Valve.
Who needs mathematics, am I right?
Yeah.
Or the way that speaking one of the Inuit languages literally makes you better at telling snows apart because you have more words to describe them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like that thing with there's some languages that don't make a distinction between green and blue.
Yeah.
And in general, the more words for colors you have, the easier it is to just like tell them.
Or like
apart.
the heretics who don't think that blue and cyan are different colors.
Yeah, and there's soft and hard Sapir-Whorf. Hard Sapir-Whorf is literally, if you don't have a word for it, you can't think of it.
Which is
silly.
obviously not true.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously not true. And the reason it's obviously not true is one of the example people often make is the arm and the hand. A lot of languages just have that as one unit. They don't have a specific word for hand. It's just lower arm and hand along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still, in that language, say the bit of the arm after the bendy. After the joint. Joint is the word I've been looking for.
Bit.
You can, with enough words in your language, you can always explain any concept, and you can clearly think of something that is a sentence. It doesn't have to be one word, because there's no concept difference between a word and a language, between a word and a phrase. It just makes it more complicated to think about.
Even in the language we're speaking right now, think about verbs.
Right.
I went, I'm going, I'm gonna go. You have to add extra stuff in order to say I am going to blank. It doesn't have its own tense, really, but we can talk about it.
Yeah, and soft Sapir-Whorf just says it predisposes you to thinking of certain things. Like you wouldn't as immediately consider the hand as its own body part. It comes in conjunction with the arm, but you can still make that difference. Because if you have just a word for something, it's way easier to think of that as one bit. Whereas if you have to construct a whole sentence to describe it, it's not as natural to you. Right?
Yeah.
You can still make distinctions, though.
Soft Sapir-Whorf is based, hard Sapir-Whorf is for insane people.
Yes. It's hard Sapir-Whorf is like Poseidism. Google it. So I really like this, and this was why I am as good at language as I am right now, is because I have an extremely Lexi friend, and we both just like worship the idea of language for a really long time, and how the soft Sapir-Whorf hypothesis shows that you are able to conceptualize and better manipulate concepts if you are able to make distinctions between things. You'll have some phrase or something. Like I prefer phrases for things a lot of the time, but if I get a good word, like say disinterpreted, all right. To misinterpret somebody is where you try to understand them and fail. To disinterpret someone is when you don't have understanding them as a goal.
Right.
Yeah. And that was given to me this morning. I just tweeted about it.
That's cool.
And that's really, really cool, because I've been talking about that forever. I talked about that way back in my BronyCon vlog, the one where I talked to Endless Jess about the same concept. And like, so I do like having those tools and stuff, or at the very least being able to pull on phrases that single out some kind of concept. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's true. However, I think that the fact that it is true is a tragedy. It is a cosmic tragedy that this is true. I don't like that my language determines something about my thinking, because then I'm going to be fucking paranoid, man. Am I missing stuff? Like I feel like I get things that people are saying, but am I being ruined by language for not seeing the world? Or better, why do I have to be improved by language to see the world? Why are brains bad?
And I don't see it as, well, you aren't necessarily missing bits, but it's impossible to have just like one language that allows you all interpretations because some of them are contradictory. So probably we can't make one language that allows you to think everything very easily. So it's way better to just have tons of language so anyone would come up with any concept and then maybe explain it to you later, or you can just take a lot of them to learn and choose from. Having lots and lots of different languages allows people to have lots and lots of different, completely out there ideas that would be hard to conceive in whatever language you're thinking in currently. So yeah, keep languages alive. They're cool.
Yeah.
We don't want possible thoughts to die out.
Yeah. Man, thinking about the limitations of thought based on language, like it's not like a thought like that is impossible if you don't have the language for it, but being given language for it makes it easier to have those thoughts.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, that justifies the existence of lexical people. I phrased that in the most combative way possible.
I'm not talking.
This does make me
offense.
wonder, though, like, would lexical people exist without language? Like, can you grow up on an island by yourself and be a lexical person?
I mean, if I get transported there, yeah. But I think the lexicality would
Like,
wear off.
If you were somehow born...
Oh, you meant born. Well, yeah.
if you were
first
just
of all,
born
but
and grew up by yourself with no language, could you be a lexical person?
Yes.
Like, what is the core of that exactly? It's kind of elusive.
Well, there's actually a language gene. Like there's a gene in your brain, like that expresses itself via your brain that determines your capability of language. So even if you don't have one, like the hardware is still there.
Yeah.
And we know that because we isolated that gene and we injected it into rats, and then they got better at solving mazes. I don't think they developed a language, but I definitely think you can trace the fact that they got better at like representational thinking, I guess.
Yeah. I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I guess when I really get down to it, I'm not just saying that word's good. I'm saying that representation is good. Like, I'm thinking about art and music and stuff like that. The ability to delineate different aspects of music to play with is another example of this same kind of thing that I'm saying is a good thing. Like, no, actually, I'm wrong. I'm now disagreeing with myself because, like, that's not actually what the superior hypothesis is that we are talking about in the first place. Like, we have the capability of distinguishing between, like, say, let's use the worst possible example. A language mistake, gender. Some languages have gender built into them so completely that you can't say the word table without gendering it. Table is
right. We do that.
You speak German. What gender is table in German?
It's masculine.
masculine.
It's masculine in German and it's feminine in French. And what the fuck are we talking about?
La tableau? Is not le tableau. Oh my god, I'm bad. Wait, hold on, I have to look it up.
Okay. Yeah, so this is an example of this kind of like thought shaping where it's bad. Don't gender words. That's stupid. The biggest thing that's pushing me not to learn German is the gendering of words.
Oh. Yeah.
You sound so sad. What did I do?
No, I dislike the gendering of words myself. I think it's the only bad quality of the language. Because German is by far the best language that I have ever been exposed to.
Red
Not
pill
even a
me on it.
competition. Well,
Red, yellow,
Red-
and black pill me on it.
all right. German just gives you tons of ways to fuck with language. Pretty much any order you can make a sentence in, you can make work in German. It's super fucking versatile for writing. Gives you a lot of ways to change up word order and such. Lots of
German poetry's got to be insane.
Right,
That
yeah.
sounds awesome.
German was called the country of poets and thinkers for a long time. And I think one of the reasons why there's so fucking many famous poets and writers and philosophers from Germany is just because it allows you so many ways to express things. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, gender is bad because it just makes it more difficult to learn. It has no benefit whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are a few words that are only able that you're only able to tell apart based on their gender, but it's not many. It's like 6 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Where the words sound the same but they have different genders and mean different things.
Gotcha.
Um,
Well, I mean, I think it wouldn't be that bad if you just, did away with the gender and let those words merge, because, like, take the word contest versus contest.
yeah.
Their stress, the way that you stress the word actually changes what the word is.
Right.
But there's no way to mark that in text.
Yeah.
You just have to get it.
Contain.
Was it
Yes.
like minute and minute? It's the same thing?
Yeah, that's another one.
Right.
Where
Those minute details.
yeah, minute details by the minute. They're different words,
Yeah.
but you just know. Yeah, that's a very
So I'm always upset when people are like, "Oh, language gender is annoying, so I'm not gonna learn German," because I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's the one bad thing.
You have actually convinced me in a way that I will never be convinced for Spanish.
Yeah,
Okay.
Spanish sucks.
Spanish is way worse about that. Okay.
Like if I were to make a hierarchy of languages that I speak to some extent right now, it would be German, French, Japanese, then English, then Spanish.
Does your proficiency match your priorities?
No, I speak English way better than I do French.
Okay.
And Japanese also. My proficiency would be German, then English, then probably French, then Japanese, then Spanish. It's close, but it's not quite that.
That's a really, really cool spread. I had somebody try to teach me the constructed language Tokipona, because apparently you can learn it in like 2 weeks, the entire language, because it only has like 100 words. Or something like that. It's some ridiculously small number is the point.
Yeah, me and my roommate learned a bit of Lojban at some point, and that's pretty cool, but I forgot all of it.
Tokipona has this has the thing that I like, which is making words out of phrases. Where what's a good example? Any noun can be a verb by being put in the predicate part of a sentence.
Yeah.
So like the word for like go as a noun means trip, like a journey or something like that. Whereas as a verb, it means to travel or to go somewhere. But every word is like that, and you can combine them in ways that's like go house, I think, is how you say car. I think.
We should link the channel Jan Measley. He talks about a lot of
Yeah, it was
few
Jan
languages.
Measley's video that like I obviously didn't retain it because like I watched it one time and did zero practice, and I watched the entire thing in one sitting. But like I like the concepts behind it, and I try to use them as much as possible. And actually, this phrasing an idea to get at another concept will actually come back later in this episode.
We have like one post left.
Strap in, folks. This is going to be a long one.
Yeah, okay.
Because
Echo's life again, religion typing.
Yup, here it goes. All right. I actually want to
Can I just read the post first?
Yeah. I want to read
Okay.
the post, and I want to read it as Fast Talking Craftsman.
Okay.
All right, I'm actually going to take a sip. Religion typing. Religion is very impressionistic, and people who hardcore hate on it are hyperlexical. I myself am an atheist, but the merits of spirituality through religion is something that many people miss when critiquing religion. They are missing the forest for the trees, actually. I have this one atheist friend who's really into hating on religions, and I get it, it's funny, but it's not like everyone religious is retarded. That being said, people who take the Bible or similar books as reality can be equally annoying. It's a pretty bookkeeping mindset, taking a philosophical text like the Bible literally. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, is, after all, just self-awareness on religion. The word, oral tradition, and culture is God, which simply means that what people say is God. Anyway, that's just a theory. A neurotyping theory. Thanks for reading. I disagree with the literal things that he's saying, but the overall gist that people don't understand the impressionistic nature of religion, I think, is on point. So, hi, I'm Tarbar Transom, famed young Earth creationist and biblical literalist. That's something people don't usually know about me.
Yeah, I kind of disagree that like the people who are into it would be like, it's like an impressionist versus bookkeeper thing, because I like know, or lexical thing, because I know like plenty of lexical people who are also into religion. Like, I don't think it's not about the people exactly. Like, I don't think it's like the trying to do like a predictive power type thing with neurotyping that I don't really like.
I think the people who are lexical, who hate on religion, are the worst. Or at the very least, the people who are lexical, who are hardcore hating on religion, are missing the impressionistic nature of religion in a lot of ways. And before I get into my own background, I want to like touch on other stuff like Buddhism. Buddhism is super impressionistic. Like, do you know what a koan is?
Yeah, I like it.
No.
Oh.
Do you want to take a crack at it?
Yeah, so what's basically it's like very short stories, or like very few actually, like you can say that like stories, and they're about to introduce like some inherent contradictions, and what they're designed to do is to make you like not think, like put you in the mute state. For example, do you have actually a good example of a koan? Because I can't think of a good one right now.
There's a techno koan that I was given where a video game developer brings his Game Boy up to Donald Knuth,
I remember. Yeah.
And is like, I have made a game, and the only two states are success and failure. And Knuth turns to him and is like, there is a third state, my student. And he's like, really? In this thing that I have made? Here, show me, teacher. And the teacher, Knuth takes it and breaks the Game Boy. And then the student was enlightened.
Oh, yeah, they're kind of like that. Like, at the end, the student is always enlightened. That's, like, the big thing. Like, if you're in enlightening state, then you're, like, in the mute state. That you can... You know, I basically know it because of GEB, like, the book on it, and they have like a lot of references. I mean, it's like literally like one of the base pillars it's, you know, written upon. So it makes sense. And I really like it, even though I'm like, you know, I shouldn't like it because I'm very lexical person. No, sorry, that was, I shouldn't make that much fun of it. And no, I really like it. And there's like it's like a very cool alternative to my way of thinking. It's like really cool. And the thing is, because I studied Chinese, I like it very much to research about it, because a lot of them are also written in Chinese. So I can literally dig up like the resources and just read them. That's very cool. Not a lot of people can do that. I even dug up like one koan, and I did like calligraphy of it, and then I gave it like a teacher who was like a philosophy teacher, very old one, who had like the philosophy course, was like after school course, and I like gave it to him, like I calligraphed it and I gifted it to him. He was very excited because presents and so.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, that concept of like learning something from contradictions is really, really cool, and it shows up in a lot of Eastern religions. And maybe this is just my lexi bias, but I feel like if you are locked into lexical thought in a way that you can't appreciate others, then you won't take stuff like that as seriously, or like you'll have a harder time getting into it. Yeah,
I can see that. But to be fair, you have to be very lexical to not understand Buddhism.
Yeah, I mean, it just at the surface element. Yes, I mean, when I say that, I'm saying stuff that the teachers say beyond giving you a 10-minute crash course. Things like being given a contradiction, or say, like a Buddhist friend of mine would frequently say this, and my hyperlexical friend would just get burned up over it, which is he would often say, yeah, contradictions are true.
Yeah.
You can infer any statement from it, so it makes like every system like trivial, because everything is true, because you can infer it from it.
Yeah, or another one is like saying that truth is in consistency more than it is in truth. Like if you take it straightforwardly, and if you don't try to understand what they meant, and you only have the words to go on, then you'll be lost for the meaning that was trying to be expressed right there, I think. Yeah. So that's an example of like other preshy things. Are we ready to get into my area of expertise?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So an important note of context for the tirade I'm about to go on that should make listening to it way more interesting. I am old. I mention it often. As a kid, I was that super hardcore atheist that everyone hates, and I was converted as an adult over a decade ago from atheism by a lexi for science reasons, because I think it's the most accurate explanation of the facts of the world. Not for community reasons. I hate the community by and large. Get off my side. You're making me look bad. And not for feelings reasons of like wishful thinking. I wish that it weren't true, but it is, and I can't unknow that. I must believe the things that I think are true to the most accurate I possibly can. Okay, I've got a lot of stuff on this. So at the top of this segment, I introduced myself as biblical literalist and young Earth creationist Tarbuck Transom. I'm not going to add that to my regular rotation because I think that because of this phenomenon that this post is about, a lot of people will like tune out of everything that I have to say after that. I shouldn't have to say, no, wait, let me explain or something like that. But I do, because people just generally think that you're an idiot if you're religious.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. When a lot of the things that these people miss is the impressionistic aspects. Things like doing a ritual. Like I'm loath to speak kindly upon the Catholics, but if I may take a moment to discuss communion, just because everybody knows what it is. That's the one where you eat the cracker and drink the wine.
Yeah, or the shitty bread and the grape juice.
Cracker.
I hate you people.
Yeah.
I haven't been to church in years and still this upsets me. Eat the cracker.
That's the one where you eat the cracker. Yeah. Okay. So rituals like that or baptism, they are not magic.
Yeah.
All right. What you're trying to do when you are doing something like that is you are reenacting something as that is impressionistic. It is meant to put you into a mindset and invite contemplation of these particular concepts. These are like rituals in commemoration of something. Mm-hmm. That's what communion is about. Communion is actually like an offshoot of Passover, because the Last Supper was a Passover meal. And like, I have a whole thing, like I just sat in on a Messianic Seder that had a lot of really interesting information in it. Possible link in the description. I don't know. Whatever.
Depends on if you send it to me.
Yeah. All right. It is a warning. It is long. It's like a 2-hour presentation, and they recorded the whole thing. So there's like music and stuff like that. You can just, we'll have the link timestamped so you can just jump directly to the actual lesson part. It's really interesting. And really, what is a sermon if not a YouTube analysis video? I unironically believe this.
What indeed?
Yeah.
So there's other stuff like the kosher diet or other prohibitions like that, where people are like, well, you can eat pork and it's okay for you to do that. I mean, yes, from a health perspective, that is true. The point was not the health aspect of it, or like, don't blend fabrics or else ye be put to death. The point of that was a temporary restriction, by the way, for the people who are rabbling in the comments. The point of doing that was for the symbolic nature of how it means to not dilute yourself in the practices outside of the faith, because you will run astray. Like, do not dilute your morality and so on. It doesn't literally mean that blending fabrics is on its own morally reprehensible.
Yeah.
There's symbolism behind it. And Jeezy Boy all knew and used this in spades. It's why he, like, to speak about why he talked in parables, he was trying to get at the idea of impressionism. Like, I am now in the rare position of having to neurotype Jesus, and I guess I would put him in the purple column somewhere, because he talks in metaphor a lot and stories.
Jesus was an overseer, or maybe an externalist.
I mean, somebody who gains a lot of followers is generally a fascinator.
Was Jesus if not a cult leader?
Yeah. I mean, all right. The reason that I object to that is not because of what you probably meant by cult leader, but because I read the Orange Papers, and that forever colored my vibe on what a cult is. The fact that he didn't try to distance his followers from their other family members, it makes me think that he's not a cult leader. Anyway, Getting back on to the point. He said, I'm going to talk in stories that illustrate my lessons, and the people who want to understand will understand, which is like premium tier impressionism.
Yeah.
That's what parables are all about. Mad respect to it. There's a, like, I'm wandering off topic again, but I just want to put this out there somewhere. There's a lot of misconceptions around not just that, but like a lot of Jeezy things. Like, okay, so this one time, all right, he goes up to the Pharisees, who are like somewhere between the cardinals and the senators, and is like, you brood of vipers, and like that doesn't sound like much, but a brood. Let's dissect that brood. A brood is like a family, your progeny, your offspring, and vipers are a lowly creature that you don't want to be compared to, particularly in metaphor. And English has a phrase that is similar to this. You may so he walks up to the aristocracy and is like, now listen here, you sons of bitches.
You motherfuckers.
Yeah. All right. That was barely even related to what I was talking about. Right. So there's a lot of stuff throughout that I can like dig in and defend. In the rare cases that I can't defend something on a point of factual accuracy, because remember, literalist, usually the defense is that it is impressionistic, and like that, like the over focus on by lexical people, usually bookkeepers, calling you out again. You ruined my life. Bookkeepers ruin the world. It's something like a hard focus on details without paying attention to the impressionistic aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually had more in my head about like going on and on and on about religion, but I feel like I have more than made my point. Have I made my, like, that was the thing. It's like, well, if some parts of it are supposed to be metaphorical and some parts of it are supposed to be literal, then how are you supposed to tell them apart, Mr. Literalist? I get that a lot. And the answer is because I know how people talk. Like when you tell someone to go jump in a lake,
yeah,
or bury your head, or go fuck yourself, you're not literally telling them to start masturbating. You're telling them to go that they're bad, to go away.
Yeah.
You know, that is different from identifying something that is poetry, and that is different than identifying something that signals itself as talking in metaphor so that the people who want to understand will understand. Now, a little bit of that is like obscured by history. Like the phrase, I will reveal to you this mystery, actually means I am talking in coded language. Like a mystery cult. If you know like Greek mystery cults, what it is coded language and symbolism, kind of like the Freemasons, where it's about something else, but you don't get to find out what it is until you get a certain rank in the thing. That's what it was. But if you know the political context of the day, then revealing to you this mystery, or like decoding these symbolic this symbolism heavy things, it's pretty straightforward. And in some cases it's more literally straightforward, like the apocalypse, but kind of like, all right, now if you're an impressionistic person, you'll understand what I mean when I gesture in those directions, and you got it. And all of this circles around the initial post is right. People are hating on it just because they're bookkeepers.
Right.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. You can find part 2 upon request, actually. If you message me about this part, wanting to know more, then maybe I'll do a lecture on it. I don't know. Yeah,
I guess I'll say again, I don't know that it's necessarily hating on it because they're bookkeepers. Like, I'd say they're more likely to do it, but they're definitely doing
that's closer to what I actually meant.
They're doing the bookkeeper thing to it, basically.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't want religious bookkeepers to get off scot-free either. They're worse. Get off my side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's too good we don't have like linear people here on the podcast.
Yeah. This episode is really bad for linear people. I'm shitting on you left and right all across this episode, but I gotta say, like,
I'm sure there are plenty of both shitty atheist and shitty religious person and human calculators or assassinators.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That was oddly specific, I have to remark.
Those were the two high laterality types for which this sound seemed most natural to me. I don't know why, because in Urcoy there were a bunch of highly atheist analysts. So
yeah.
I guess Timecake kind of makes up for that, for being like a Gnostic analyst.
You have your Gnostic analysts and you have your atheist evangelist fascinators. Atheist evangelism.
What I'm saying is everyone can be a shithead.
Yes, everyone can be a shithead. But it's frustrating to me as the only true Christian to run into bad atheist or bad religious bookkeepers who claim to agree with me, do it wrong, and then give me a bad name to such an extent that it makes me hesitant to even mention like my affiliation in public. Like my problems stem from an overfocus on the parts of the rules that don't matter to the exclusion of the actual meaning behind those rules, which is like the most impressionistic way or the most impressionistic complaint that I could have about lexical religiosos. Yeah, lexical religiosos.
Right.
Readme was right. A bookkeeper who is wrong is the worst position. Arguing with a bookkeeper who is wrong is the worst position to be in.
Right.
I think actually, reflecting on it, I know 2 order quadrant people that I like, and all of the rest of them that I've ever met are either atheist evangelists or wrong Christians. That's why I have such a bad rap with them. It's not that they're bad people, it's that those 2 categories have ruined them for me. They're giving everyone in that quadrant a bad name.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a bit about Job. Right. That's what I was getting at. Is this was the connection to impressionistic phrases, because that shows up in Job a lot, because Job is like the oldest of the books, even though it comes in the middle. And I'm gonna assume that nobody knows any of these books, because why would you? Not even Christians read the Bible.
No, I read the Bible.
That's because you're literate.
No, it's because I was a kid, I didn't have money, so I just went through all the books in my parents' bookshelf, literally all of them, so I just read the Bible at some point.
Gotcha. All right, well, there's this thing that happens in like old plays, like Greek stuff, but more. All right, so let me set the scene for you. Job has challenged the authority of God and God is like, who are you? In what position are you to judge me, who created everything that you use to form a basis by which you would judge me? I don't care if you have feelings about that particular argument. We can have a conversation about that later. That's not the point that I'm trying to make right now. The point is that to like lay out his credentials, he's like, where were you when I did these things? Like one of his examples is set the currents of the wind in their circuits. That's a really evocative phrase that is illustrative and symbolic at the same time. Like, set the air currents in their circuits. That is a reference to the fact that air currents are circular in that they loop around the planet. And that is a fact in the oldest book. And that is not intuitive information to a person in like 5000 BC.
Right.
So that is quite a science flex. There's like 60 more examples in that one book of other stuff like that, of descriptions that you would use if you didn't have the language to describe something because the word rocket ship had not been invented. What's another one? He hangs the earth on nothing. Like, that's a pretty apt description of the Earth floating through space and stuff. But that's that kind of poetic language where there's real meaning, and if you focus too directly on it, you will miss that meaning entirely. Like, it sounds like it's turtles all the way down, but there's no turtles. It sounds like flat Earth, unless you pay attention. Yeah. Or like, one of the worst ones for this is Four Corners of the Earth, which also comes from the same book, which is just a failure to recognize, like, for one thing, it's bad on the part of the person who did the translating, because it basically just means 4 directions. North, south, east, and west. How you draw maps and stuff.
The 4 corners of the neuro chart.
Yeah, exactly. Just that there are perpendicular directions is a basic observation, and the over focusing on the word corner to completely miss the meaning of what is being said is my best example of this kind of, like, you must acknowledge the impressionism in the language being used and the minds of the people doing it. Now this is not the point that the original post was making. Akawa's life probably doesn't think those things as an atheist. But like, a lot of these things are being understood impressionistically by impressionistic people who don't hang out with lexical people and don't have the language to communicate this across to you. I'm trying to be a bridge here. I'm trying to be a bridge of spies.
Yeah, the centrist.
As any good centrist type should do.
Yeah, just if you're a centrist, you shouldn't be. It's not an excuse to be lazy.
Yeah.
You gotta put in the work there.
All right.
Welcome to the Neurotypeline, your favorite Bible elaboration podcast.
Okay. I have been Tarbuck Transom, lolicon and only true Christian.
That was a hell of a ride.
I have been Ouro. The dating sim I worked for has recently had its 1-year anniversary. If you wanna learn something about old PCP now that Beatrice has gone from it, still check that out. There might be a video essay coming out, hopefully before the next episode of this podcast, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I am very looking forward to it. We met as a result of that dating sim, so it brings people together.
Yeah.
As a dating sim should.
Yeah, right. Met a lot of cool people through that, either through the team or through, well, in the case of Tabak and Vamp, people who played it.
Yeah. Togi, I'm glad that you appreciate the wild ride that I just took you on, and I want you to grok the fact that I toned it way down when I actually started doing the presentation. I was going to go 10 times harder on this.
Oh yeah, I haven't actually read the Bible, so thank you for that.
Yeah. I'm cutting out a lot, and there's other points that I could make, but if you want to keep talking about this when we're done recording, I could go on until my breath runs out.
Oh, I have time, actually, yeah, so to say.
Sweet.
Me when I have time. Yeah, I got time.
Skroy, do you want to plug something? Or...
Join the Discord. The good one. Not the
Join the good
No, join our Discord.
And then find a link to the normal one.
It's not like they're not linked or something. It's not like if you have an extra chat for links.
You can join Skroy's Discord and the real one. They're not mutually exclusive. It's two great tastes that taste great together.
Skroy's Discord. You can take that first step on your journey of self-discovery, and once you have ascended as a person, you can move on to greener pastures, which is to say, our Discord.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, not everyone is going to take that path. It's not like biblical literalism to young earth creationist, which is a straight line where one necessarily results in the other. It's more like Christian literalism and being a lolicon, which are compatible. They're kind of not.
As long as there's competing discords, maybe I'll plug the Megazord.
Competing Discords, yeah.
No, wait, I'll plug my own server. Stupid, bullshit ass, horrible jank. SPAD for short. Glass spectating server.
Yeah, do say on that on top of that too.
No, join my.
That one is linked in the description of the class spectating lecture.
Oh,
I don't think anyone has come there from that video, but oh well.
Rip. Yeah.
Man, I really hope nobody takes my proselytizing too seriously, because while I do really believe these things factually, the other reason that I don't talk about it very often is because I don't want to like give the impression that I'm one of those pushy people that I just spent 40 minutes complaining about. By the way, I got 40 minutes out of that. I feel pretty proud of that.
Yeah, we're back to 3-hour episodes. almost thought we had lost the energy, but oh no.
Our viewer retention is plummeting.
It is.
Yeah,
but the last 2 episodes have actually been performing really well. That's good.
Yeah.
I want to just like throw it out there for people who got annoyed with me going on and on and on about that, though. Just like offer an olive branch and be like, doesn't ever have to happen again. Hopefully we're cool.
Right. Also, as always, there are timestamps in the video, so if you truly don't care, you can just skip it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
If you didn't do that and you found it annoying, then you brought this upon yourself.
Yes, you only have yourself to blame.
Yeah.
Right.
Good job.
I was merely the anvil. You swung the hammer into your own hand, bitch.
Yeah. And on that note, see you next time.
See you next-
time.
Oh, right. Wait, no, I already plugged my podcast channel, and my crafting channel is just my name. So, yeah, never mind. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.